is Republican Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma. Welcome, Senator.
Well, welcome, Carol. Nice to be with you.
Thank you for being with us.
You know, I do somewhat agree with Leon Panetta on this, although I think it goes further than that. You know, this morning, and I'm sure you've been covering this, Putin was lecturing to the United States. You know, I could hear Reagan turning over in his grave as this was going on. I think when you look at the combination of Russia and Syria, considering that Russia has been the one sending them all of the equipment and military and armaments that they need, for them to come forth and say, oh, all of a sudden, yeah, we're going to take care of that. I'm not sure how many people believe that, and I'm not sure how it's going to really impact the outcome. And
Senator, I want to read to you another part of the op-ed, because I believe this is the part where most Americans let's say they raise their eyebrows. This is what Putin wrote in the New York Times, quote, "I would rather disagree with the case President Obama made on American exceptionalism, stating that the United States policy is what makes America different. It's what makes us exceptional. It is extremely dangerous to encourage people to see themselves as exceptional, whatever the motivation." And Senator John McCain just tweeted that Putin's New York Times op-ed is an insult to the intelligence of every American. Do you agree?
Well, sure. I mean, the whole idea, and that's what I was referring to when I said that he was lecturing to us. But read further in there, and he talks about if something should happen, if those who are wanting to join the president in this military intervention, that there would be responses. And so I think it's terribly naive of someone to think that we could send a few cruise missiles in there and that they would not respond. Most people now are looking at that saying that would probably cause a greater use of chemical weapons. So now we've got John Kerry in I guess Geneva it is, with Lavrov, talking about what are we going to do together, when he's actually communicating and talking and negotiating with the very person who has been giving all of the resources to Syria in the first place. And I hope that sometime that people will pay attention to the real problem with intervention at this time. Is that we have a degraded military now. Nobody understands this. No one believes it. And yet I've been saying it now since for 4.5 years. You know, in his first budget, Carol, he did away with our only fifth-generation fighter, our lift capacity, the C-17, Future Combat System, the ground-based interceptor, and that was just one budget. Since then, he's taken, on his extended budget, $487 billion out of the military. So I'm not the only one who knows that that is the big problem, that we cannot get involved in a war in the Middle East.
Well, most Americans don't want us to get involved in a war in the Middle East, and that's not what the president would say he's talking about. He's talking about that limited military strike. General Dempsey, he thinks that U.S. military can handle Syria just fine.
Well, sure, they can handle it. If you're talking about sending 30 cruise missiles in, that's easy. That doesn't cost anything. That's a very easy thing to do. What I'm saying is that you don't do that without, as they say, that would be an act of war in the Middle East. Let me read you one quote. This is from General Dempsey, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who agrees with me. He says, "Our military force is so degraded, so unready, it would be immoral to use force." Now, I have to disagree with you, Carol. I think, you know, you send something over there, you're using force, and there's going to be repercussions. And you have, remember, the chief threat in that whole part of the world is not Syria, it's Iran. And our intelligence has told us since 2007 that by 2015, a year and a half from now, they're going to have the weapon and the delivery system that would actually reach the eastern part of the United States. It's a serious thing.
Senator, like you said, Russia and the United States, they're negotiating in Geneva right now, and a military option is very much on the table from the United States' point of view. Russia, of course, wants the United States to take that option away. So, in light of Putin's op-ed today, should the United States go along with Mr. Putin?
No. You know, I've never liked Mr. Putin. In fact, Obama never liked him until last Tuesday when he came and bailed him out. So I think that's not the strategy we should be using coming from Russia.
So you think the military option should remain on the table while these diplomats...
No, I'm saying I've opposed the military option. I was the first one that came out opposed to that military option. I'm just saying that if we think that we're going to be able to be maintain our credibility in that part of the world by being bailed out, it's not going to work. And besides, I don't trust those guys. And I don't think anyone who's really been watching Russia and Syria and what they've been doing should have a great faith and trust in them.
So if Vladimir Putin is writing op-eds in the New York Times sort of poking America, what do we do? What does the United States do?
I think just respond that, first of all, I think maybe we ought to write a few op-eds too and respond to it. I don't think silence is what we need to do at this time. Maybe Putin feels he's in the driver's seat now to the point that we won't respond. Well, we will, in terms of verbally responding. I'm not surprised to see him do it. I think that he would have been smarter not to do it.
Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.